Welcome everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, December 7th. We are Larry and Dee Corchin. Glad you guys are on, and always just good to see you guys. We come together on Monday nights primarily for you in this community time, and just to be able to bond and also be able to provide training and input that set us up for a great week. And I know we've got some new coaches on the call tonight and some coaches that are maybe potential coaches checking us out. So we welcome you as well to this. And since our topic tonight, we're going to talk about the fear, but more importantly, what do we do with fear? How do we use it in a way that can that we can move through it? But I came across something on social media and it just really resonated with me. So I was just going to flash it up here on the screen if I can, and show it. So give me 1 second. Hopefully I can get to it easily. Can you guys see that? It's got a couple sentences on it and it says 100 at the bottom. Can you see it?
No, we don't see anything.
You don't see it? Okay, bummer. Well, I'm gonna read it to you then, since it's not there, so I don't want to waste our time. But basically, it was a person kind of wrote this out, and her name is Angie Lee, and she said, "I don't want to look back in 10 years and think, why didn't I dream bigger? Why did I care so much about what other people thought about me? Why didn't I say yes to the opportunity? Why didn't I raise my hand and go first? Why did I think I had to wait until I was ready? Why wasn't I more weird?" I love that one. "And why didn't I pick myself?" And the last line said, "I should not have let fear win." So that was just something I think that we should probably all think about as we kind of think about our fears when we look back, maybe 5 years, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and where you're sitting with any fears that you might have, which are so normal. Do you want to be in the same place, in that time frame in the future? But before we move into that topic, we always take a moment on the first Monday of a month to go back and celebrate what you guys as a team accomplished in the month prior. So Larry, you're going to take that for now.
Yes, fear not. So let's get going here. So first of all, another outstanding month. You guys did a great job. Always November's a challenging month for a couple reasons. One, we have Thanksgiving. So that's a challenge as far as part of the month goes. And then this year we had a little thing called an election, which I think distracted a lot of people as well. But we still did a great job this month, powering through and helping our clients succeed. So let me just give you the highlights. We had 275 new clients in the organization. Big shout out, way to go, everybody. 14 new coaches joined the organization in November. 15 coaches reached a new rank, so congratulations, and we are going to talk to them. So 4 were in leadership ranks. So if you recall, when we reach leadership ranks, we have a little Facebook Live on Tuesday evening. So look for that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. in Coaches Opt for Change, and we'll just be having a conversation with our new leaders there. So again, congratulations with that. Also tonight, we're going to be speaking with Laura Willingham. She's a coach with Lori Cole, and we are just excited that she became a coach in September, and now she made it to manager. Went from November, went straight to manager. So congratulations, Laura. Where is Laura? Laura, you out there?
I'm here.
All right, Laura. Well, thank you for being on. And if you can just share how things went and take 2 minutes and just go through that for us, we'd love to hear you.
Okay. Well, Dee sent me some questions to answer, so I'll just go over those. She asked me, what was your biggest fear or hesitation around becoming a coach, and why did you say yes? I'm not a big salesperson, which is pretty funny because I majored in broadcast sales. So, but I did it for a while, and I'm not really much of a salesperson, so I've never been one to try to go into this. But the program, as you all know, is just so easy. I mean, it's almost foolproof, really, if you just follow the plan. And so my daughter, who is 17, started noticing that I was losing weight easily, and So she wanted to try it. And honestly, I just got into it because I thought, well, if I become a coach, I'll save a little bit of money every time she orders food too. And, but in the meantime, I coach a cheerleading team at a high school, at a local high school. So as I started losing weight and I was coming to the games, and because, because of Corona, that's the only time I see anybody, they were like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And so I started getting a lot of followers. And so that's how I got into it. And, I don't really post much on social media right now. I'm not about myself or about what I do. So I don't really advertise this program that way. They just really see my results and my daughter's results, and then they ask us what we're doing. And so that kind of leads into the next question of how do you feel about, now that you said yes and you were helping people, have you stepped out of comfort zone yet? And glad that you did. So it's really a lot of my friends that I see because they see me in person. And I mean, like I said, we're not going anywhere else. So it's only people from my community. And so they're all my friends, and I love to help them, reach their goals. I mean, I've had a couple that they're kind of not in a good place right now to really even try this. They tried it for a month and they were like, oh my gosh, I'm flying back and forth to New York City and I just can't take all this food with me. And so it's been harder for them, but I love to help my friends who have been trying to lose weight. And of course we all gained weight over, quarantine, and I'm like, I've got to get this extra weight off. So it's just been, pretty easy, pretty enjoyable. Love to help my friends. So
Great.
That is awesome. I love that that you're just, you had a fear of selling, but it sounds like you've stepped into it and realized I'm not really selling. I'm helping my friends that are.
oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Excited to see what's next for you, Laura. Congratulations.
Thank you. Of course.
Welcome.
Welcome. So we're going to talk tonight. I specifically mixed up the questions a little bit tonight for Laura to talk about fear. And I'm going to ask you guys 2 questions I'd love you to blow up our chat on. And the first one I want to ask you is, what was the fear you had before you said yes to coaching? So go ahead and pop that in the comments, in the chat. I am sure every single one of us had some sort of fear before they said yes to coaching. Wouldn't have the answers, not enough time, being annoying on social media, wouldn't have the answers, time, transparency, getting it all in, identity, not the super healthy dude.
Andy,
Failing,
way to go,
okay.
Andy.
Yeah, I didn't have all the answers. Being vulnerable on social media.
Good.
I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding too, right? Like we're all looking at this going, yep. And I want to know too, now that you have said yes, and you're on the other side of saying yes, on the other side of the fear, if you'll just put a Y or an N, yes or no, are you glad you did in the comments? Are you glad you said you pushed through that fear? Wow, some resounding Y's out there. Good. That's a question mark. Okay, I love the honesty. And that's really what we're about. Thank you for being honest with that question mark, is because that's what we're talking about these things. Is one, I want you to realize that many of the thoughts you're having, fears, emotions, there's somebody on this call that's going through it right now. There's somebody that's gone through this call that's gone through it before you. And there's somebody on this call that hasn't been there yet, is probably going to face it. It is really part of the journey.
Yeah. And, we always talk about the obstacle is the way, right? And we just have to, kind of go back to school and go back to track, right? Hurdles. There's always going to be a hurdle in life, right? And what's nice about working through one fear is that we gain confidence to tackle the next fear and the next fear and the next fear. And it's also cool because, again, we have this entire community to lean on. So Laura, you were mentioning earlier about, somebody was flying to New York, that kind of stuff. This team here can help you give ideas to support that client that flies back and forth to New York, that kind of stuff. So that's what's really neat about it. So
yeah. Actually, I love that you brought that up. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to that right now. I was actually reading a little bit. The brain it's all science, right? Everything that's happening in our brain is science. It's neural pathways. And how does fear typically show up? in somebody. A lot of times we don't identify it as fear. It can show up, and feel free if you've got an answer to pop it in the questions, but it can show up in the form of avoidance, anger, okay, not yet, time, I don't have enough time, defensiveness, rationalizations, right? The stories we tell ourselves, distraction, right? Have you ever gotten really like, oh my God, I've just got to get this laundry done and get the trash taken out before I can make that scary phone call? Like suddenly other things seem extremely important. We distract ourselves. Yeah, look at, so we see how it shows up. So one of the first things is that we're going to have to learn to identify fear in ourselves. And that's where you're working with your mentor is such a good thing, because what's going to happen is we're going to have Dan Bell always talks about the key to success is motivation, right? Why are you doing this? What do you want from it? How is being a coach going to help you and your family, right? So it's kind of the what's in it for me. And then our mindset, right? And our mindset is, could be anything. Could be like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest gift ever. I'm going to share it with everybody. Or we can have those hesitations and those negative thought patterns. And then only about 5 to 10% of it is actually skills. So there it is, all the brain stuff. But one of the things I was reading about the science of fear is that the brain gets into a habit of avoiding it, right? And so our comfort zone becomes an avoidance, and we actually create a habit loop of avoidance. Now, we also might attach a story to it. We might attach a story to, oh, I'm such a loser. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, I can't seem to do this. Like, so we almost get into a story that then compounds itself of avoidance. And what it was sharing was that what we have to do is break the pattern loop, and we break the pattern loop through practice by creating a new pathway. So it's being fearless is not having lack of fear. Being fearless is knowing how to leverage that fear or taking that first step, right? Practicing, trying, doing things differently. And when we do, it was exactly what Larry said, we get those small wins. The brain feels success, the little endorphins kick off. Once more success, we feel more confident to take that chance again. Well, I did it yesterday. I guess I could do that again today. And so we just tend to go in that direction. And that's really where it comes. So it was talking about the fact that avoidance is going to leave us paralyzed where we are. Practice is going to help to start to build the confidence and the skills. And then practice leads to mastery. Right? And usually what we do is we don't allow ourselves that space in the middle to practice. We're disappointed we're not a master. And so we stay over here in avoidance.
Yeah, I love this where we are right now as far as talking about this, because when you think about just the corporate world, okay, people that, and many of you I know still work, you have day jobs and you may be doing this part-time. But what happens is in the corporate world, right, you get this sense that you're not good enough. Right? Or, because somebody said, oh, Sally, you didn't do this correctly, you're like, oh, that kind of stuff. But in reality, when we look at it, we tend to avoid things, that we can't do something because somebody told us that we couldn't grow, or we hit that obstacle, okay, and therefore we didn't perform well with that obstacle. When in reality, in the corporate world, everybody has the same obstacles. It's just a matter of somebody's actually telling it to you in a way that may not be ideal as far as growth, whereby here, because we're all learning, we're all growing, okay, we take that as an opportunity. We really do. We take it as an opportunity to own it and grow through it. I've met a lot of senior guys out there that are figuring it out as they go along. And it's just, they get comfortable with figuring it out as they go along. So.
And that would define us. Right. We might be at the highest level in the company, but we still face fears. We still face challenges. It's not that we don't have disappointments and we don't have a lot of people tell us no and different things. It's just we're more comfortable with just continuing to put us out there. And the 100% reason why is what we talked about last week, is when we can put ourselves in a position of always looking out for the best interest of someone else. Right? Like this, it only matters if somebody says yes to the health program because it's good for them. They're going to benefit. And it only matters if somebody says yes to the healthy coaching opportunity because it's going to be good for them. So I think so often we put the fear on us and the responsibility on us. Am I going to be able to do it right? Am I going to say the right thing? Will I know what to do if they say yes? We've got the tools in the system and the support to help you with that. Just reminding that we are the conduit of an individual to our system, just that link. And so tonight we're kind of, I don't want to, the emphasis is not solely on sharing the coaching opportunity. I mean, as a coach, we really have two great gifts that we offer, and they're really intertwined. But the first is, and one side of it is the health program. And I know a lot of people with the same fears about how do we show up on social media, all of that apply to sharing the health program. But we also know through years of working through this, and even my own experience with it, that there can also be a lot of fears around sharing the coaching opportunity. So we're going to just highlight two stories kind of around that tonight. One person I want to have share with us tonight is Vicki Feldman. Vicki and I have been coaching together. She's one of the first executive directors we've had on our team. And Vicki has, tell you, has struggled in the area of initially bringing on coaches successfully. And so Vicki, if you wouldn't mind just coming and sharing your story, I know that it's gonna be relatable to a lot of people.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. So I had a lot of jumbled thoughts that I just kind of randomly scribbled down. And I'm the first to admit that I am a work in progress. And sometimes it's 3 steps forward and 1 step back, and then you just, you know, keep trudging through. But when Dee asked me to talk about this topic, I was reminded of like one of the first time I brought my kids to the pool, and I have a son and a daughter. My 2 younger ones are 2 years apart. And I'll never forget going to the pool in our neighborhood and my son dipping his toe in and dipping his toe in. And my daughter just ran around at the diving board, 2 years younger, and flew off the diving board. And that was just her personality, was just jump right in, not even thinking, is the water cold? Is the water not cold? Where he was like going to just keep testing the water. And I think that sometimes we just approach things based on our experiences. Like maybe he had a previous idea that the water might be uncomfortable, where she just didn't care. So for me, I think the health coaching parallels a lot of the client support. And so what I found is that I think my 2 biggest fears were selling something. And the other thing was just my ability to be able to coach other people, other coaches. Like, how was I going to support my coaches, which of course leads into a little bit of time management, which again, just like my water, I continue to struggle with, but I'm working on it. So, and that's the whole thing, is that it's all a journey. At the end of the day, when you look backwards, it's all a journey. And how do we figure it out? We figure it out by eliminating the things that don't really work. And then that's how we grow, and that's how we get to the next step. I think for me, the idea of selling, and I know this has been brought up a couple of times, but one of the things that I really, really like about Optavia is that, you know, and I've had people say, well, do you get something for bringing on coaches? Well, no, I support people that support other people. So I love the fact that our company really compensates us for actually helping somebody, not in terms of stockpiling product or people, for that matter. The other thing that I have found along the way is, like what Dee said, we started out a long time ago. I think there were 10 of us, 5 of us, 6 of us, something like that. And I'm looking at this group and I'm thinking, how many people have been more healthy because they were coaches? And Dee had said to me at one point in time, do you think you would have kept your weight off if you weren't a coach? And I really had to sit and think about that. I'd like to think that I would have, but I will tell you, there's plenty of times that I have made different decisions because I'm a coach. So knowing that that piece is very valuable to other clients, because I know they don't want to gain their weight back. I know that if you're helping somebody else, if you're on this call tonight, you're less likely to get off the call and go dig into the ice cream. It's just a matter of who we are and how we show up. That doesn't mean we're perfect, but we probably will make just better decisions because we're surrounded by like-minded people. So those are two things that have helped me get over the I'm selling something. And the other thing is just like, you know, like sometimes we predispose, oh, they wouldn't want to do this program. They don't really have a weight issue. They wouldn't want to do this. They have a great career as an attorney. We make decisions. And I'll tell you, my mother, I could watch her talk herself out of asking somebody if they wanted to come to dinner. No, they're probably too busy. And she would make the decision rather than, I remember as a kid saying, why don't you just ask? It's their decision, not your decision. So you know, you have those tapes that play around in your head. And I think I'm a little bit like my mother, even though that used to drive me crazy, that just like we're offering the health opportunity, somebody could choose to come in the program. They might not be ready. They might not be ready now, but it's the same thing with coaching. They may not be ready. I mean, one of my coaches who just started 6 weeks ago, I've been talking to her for 3 years. And I know there's a lot of stories like that. Just like when we plant the seed for the health program, somebody may go try 6 other things and come back and just say, you know what, I'm ready now. So I think we have to be patient because everybody's timing is not synchronized. And the last thing that I think is that we all, like, you know, Dee mentioned fear. And I think we all struggle with on some level, somewhere along the way, are we going to be good enough? Are we going to be able to support our coaches? Are we going to give them what they need? Are we going to give clients what they need? And I remember once at a conference, Dee said to me, you know what, if you didn't send a text on day 3, guess what? They're probably still in the program, you know? So I think that idea of needing to be perfect, needing to get it all right, the reality is there is no right, it's relationships. And if you have the relationship with your people, they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, throw me the life preserver. I need some help right now. Just like somebody mentioned about, you know, somebody going to New York. This group, this team, this going back to, I'm stuck. We all get stuck at times. So being able to have the plethora of people here is key. And like anything else, once you have a client, I'm thinking about now my coaches who are helping people, how many people are being helped that and actually I do know a lot of the people they're helping. I happen to know a lot of them, that shame on me for not asking them 5 years ago, right? But the reality is that many more people are being helped. And when you find that you can go to sleep at night with the joy of that, it just makes for just another day. So I don't know, Dee, if that's what you were looking for, but there you have it.
Awesome. Thank you, Vicki. Always. I mean, we love that, again, your experience and just your transparency as far as sharing. We just love that. And I was seeing there was a lot of stuff in the chat there. So way to go. Great job. And I always loved that. In college, this is just a kind of little funny thing. We used to say, my buddies, when we would see a pretty young lady and we would go to say, wow, she's pretty. And we would say, she's not going to go out with me. But one of our buddies, I remember, he said, the pain of rejection is 1/10 the pain of not even knowing at all, right? Not even knowing if you had the shot, right? So I always remember that. And you were talking and I was like, that popped into my head, right? If we don't ask, we don't know. And then we just walk around and we just like, well, maybe, yeah, she would have dated me, you know, one of those things, or she would have become a client or something like that. And so it really is part of the process. That's what I'm saying. It's really part of the process that we have to go through. So thank you again.
Yeah. And I want to reiterate for everybody, I mean, Vicki and I have worked together for a long time, and Vicki really, really utilizes us as her mentorship team to do coach explorers with her, to do tips calls with her clients. And she'll boldly say, like, I feel like I should know how to do this right by now, but would you help me? And it's like, of course we'll be on the call with you. And so your mentors want to work with you, right? Your mentorship line is there to help. And then Vicki, I think you've also seen a tremendous difference is sometimes we see it possible for somebody else and they don't see it yet. That patience is so important. And sometimes it's just not going to be a right fit. But when we are persistent and we do continue to ask and show up for people, like Mandy 3 years later says, yes, it's the right fit. And she's going gangbusters because she's ready. And you don't have to worry about doing anything perfect because it's the right fit. So that's great.
And we haven't seen Vicki's kids at the pool in a long time. So.
And one thing to think about with those things that go on through your mind, perfect analogy of your mother, Vicki, is Jim Dethmer. Jim Dethmer is the author of the 15 Levels of Conscious Leadership. One thing he talks about with this is that we create stories in our mind. And so when you find that pattern and you hear it and you say, well, she wouldn't want to do this, she's got a great job. What we have to ask ourselves is, he calls it fact or story. Is that a fact? Did she tell you she has a great job? She's 100% satisfied. She doesn't need any more time in her life. She wouldn't want to have a more flexible schedule. Like, did she tell you that? Or is that a story we made up in our head? You know, and that's a big one. And you'll find we had to play a game with that. Yeah, and it was like, whoa, I got a lot of stories going on up here. So Very good. Want to turn it over for a minute to Gina Manley. Gina's been going through kind of a season of growth on her personal journey, and she was really, really great to say that she would share kind of a vulnerable story with us. So, Gina, you want to hop on?
Sure. Hey, thanks everybody for letting me share a little bit. The last several months have been quite a season of change for me, and I found myself focusing on my goal and my rank, and that I've had that for a long time, and I wasn't any closer to it. So then the fear and the self-doubt started coming in, like, okay, well, maybe I'm not meant to do this. Like, maybe coaching isn't for me, because I can't get there, and I've worked so hard to get there, and I'm not getting there. So maybe this isn't for me. And this is not a side gig. It started out as a side gig, and then it went to be, this is what I do, and this is who I am. So, okay, if I quit, what am I going to go do? Well, I don't want to work for somebody else. I don't want to be on someone else's pay scale. So what would I do? And I really had to think about, like, okay, so what would you do? And then I had this realization when I was doing my map that, and I hate to do my map, I'm just going to be honest. All of a sudden I realized that I was like the client who's lost 30 pounds and wants to give up because for a couple weeks in a row, they've only lost a half a pound. And they lost sight of how well they've done and all the changes that they've made and everything that's different. Well, I was doing my map and I was like, oh my gosh, look at all the people I'm helping. Look at all the people that I've helped to get to their goal. Look at, I've got some coaches, look at all the people that they're getting. Oh my gosh. And I realized, as Vicki said, you've got to go to bed at night looking at the joy. I stopped doing that. I stopped finding the joy in this. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is what is important, not this. You still need the goal. You still need something to shoot for. But I finally let go of being focused on it. I'll get there at some point, and that'll be awesome. And I will do a big happy dance. But in the meantime, wow, look at all that I have going on, and look at all the people I'm reaching. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, we're so glad, because Gina has an incredible business. You know, it's so interesting from an aerial view, you know, and but we can become so dissatisfied, and you know, and that's where, you know, and I know that came from a conversation you were talking with your coach today through. It's why we need support, you guys, because those little monsters, those in our head. But the one thing I've learned for a fact, and this has been my story too, is I got really stuck in my growth at one point, and I was just mad, felt like I should have been further along. I mean, I can so connect to what you're talking about, Gina, and I know some people are commenting. And when we lose that gratitude and that appreciation for where we are, there's no way we can grow. Right. And Jordan put it in the comments on what we focus on grows. So when we can grow on focus on appreciation, and again, it's all about the people. It's like Vicki said, it's relationship. When we focus on what this is doing, for what it's done in our lives, what it's done in your life, Gina, this is your career. You know, what you bring into your family for income, that, you know, then we can start to progress. So proud of you.
Yeah, if I can just, yeah, Gina, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, because, you know, first of all, in the real world, that's the same thing that happens in the real world, right? You know, if you're sitting at a corporate desk somewhere, right, you're like, okay, you know, what am I doing? I'm getting passed over for promotions. What am I doing? Why can't I do this or get there? That kind of stuff. It's the same exact thing. There's a big difference though, where we are here. Okay. And the big difference we have is that if you want to be a director, there's room for everybody to be a director. Okay. If you want to be an IPD, there's plenty of room for people to be IPDs. There's no one stopping you. Okay. Except probably yourself, if anything. Right. So, but that's the thing. And that's why we work together as a team. We have mentorship, we have growth, we have learning. So again, Gina, so thankful for that. So.
So very good. Thank you guys for to Vicki and to Gina for transparency. I really believe in the power of stories, and sometimes we can feel like we only hear the good, but it is through these challenges that we grow and we become our best. And very often we have to grow into who we need to be at that next level. And Larry had said a version of it before, but one of my favorite quotes is from Robert Frost, and he says, "The best way out is always through." So whatever challenge, fear we're facing, walking through that is going to be your answer. Larry, do you want to do a quick reminders of what we got coming up?
Yeah, a friend of mine, Solomon, said the same thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, so reminders, right after this call, we have Dr. A, and then field training and Dan Bell. Again, remember, Dan Bell's call, he is our mentor, okay? So if you think about it, he's like our grandfather. And his call is always at 9 p.m. after the Dr. A and field-led training. You're all welcome to attend Dan Bell's call as well. All that information, of course, is in Coaches Opt for Change. Leadership Zoom tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. We'll see you there with our new leaders. And then don't forget, time for you on Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, just great time to just chat. Dee and I are here, and we've had a great couple meetings. And
yeah, it's where you can bring your individual questions, or if you want some one-on-one mentorship in a group setting. That's been great.
It's
so
fun.
All right, we're off to a great start in December, you guys. Make it a great week.
Yeah, we love you guys. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.